All right, we're back with another ESP. So this is my tried and true ESP Vintage Plus. I'll go ahead and get a couple up close shots for you. So yep, ESP Vintage Plus says it right there in the headstock. This has the, come on, focus. This has the Godo locking tuners, and yeah, those lock on the front. On my previous video of my ESP Eclipse, there was a comment on there saying like, hey, those aren't locking tuners. And it wasn't like a bad comment or anything. I could just see how someone would be mistaken. So yeah, these are the Godo locking tuners. They don't have screws on the back. That doesn't mean they're not locking. So these, it's a screw right there. So a lot of people will use a penny to loosen this up. So once the string is completely loose, you put a penny in there and twist it and it unlocks it. Okay, I'm just trying to get this focus on here. But yeah, you put a penny in there, which is like the perfect width, and you barely turn it to the left, like just a tiny bit to the left, and then it unlocks it to where you can pull the string out. So again, your string is completely loose. You turn it barely to the left, it unlocks it, and you can pull your string out. Then when you're restringing your guitar, you feed it through the hole. And then as you're tightening, there's a screw in the middle of this that goes through and pins it inside for you. So basically, instead of you yourself tightening it, it's doing it for you inside, which I think that's awesome because then it doesn't allow you to over tighten it. So yeah, if you've bought an ESP, this is an 09, the Eclipse is an 07, there's a chance that if it has the Godos on there, they're probably locking. Just want to double check. And again, not to spend too much time on that, I just thought like, wow, like if you found a good deal on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace and you saw these Godos on there and didn't think they were locking, then you might be missing out on value, or maybe not making an informed purchase. That could be a good flip or trade. But the last thing I'll say about it is I have another guitar, my ESP Horizon. It has the locking, the Spurzels on there that have the twist lock. And thankfully they've never gone out, but I've had friends of mine who have said that those have failed on them, probably just from over tightening or not knowing how much you should tighten it or loosen it. But with any of these front lock ones, I've never heard of anyone having problems with these. And if you have, yeah, please share and let us know. Anyways, back to the guitar. I'll get some more close-ups for you. This fretboard, I'm going to warn you, is a little bit dirty. This guitar gets used, and I was just using it on tour with an artist called Maya Manuela back in September. Kind of dirty fretboard. Needs cleaned up a little bit. Here's the body. I've had some people say this looks green. I guess it depends on the lighting, but to me it's more like an off-white, and you can see the contrast between the white pickguard and the body. I love how they did the pickups the same as the body too. That's so cool, and the knobs. So yeah, so that has the matching knobs as well. But if you couldn't tell, this was a factory relic. So ESP did this series, the Vintage Plus. Not all of them were relics though. So some of these had just a normal paint job, but then they had a black one, this one, a red one, and I think like a vintage white, kind of like my Eclipse colored one, that were all relic from factory. There might have been one other color too. I could be missing one. This is the only guitar that I have that has a relic to it, and I love how subtle it is. And I know that's a pretty hot topic for people, you know, relic guitars, you know, is it cool? Is it cheesy? Should you have a perfect guitar and have it relic yourself from shows and use and play? But for me, you know, with this being the one and only one I have, I do like how subtle it is, I will say that. So yeah, on the headstock, you have like a little bit right there. And again, you can look at other pictures of these. Just type in ESP Vintage Plus Relic on Google, and you can see they actually matched up the relicing pretty good on a lot of them. So now I'll get up close. Here's the horn, you know, a couple nicks and dents and dings and stuff. Nothing crazy. Here's the bottom. I actually don't know. This might have been from me, so we might have to check if that's on others. But yeah, but this is all smooth. Like, you can feel the difference, but it's smoothed over. They even go as far as adding this like wear to the back. And here's the back of the guitar. You have some right there. So yeah, you have a couple dings and stuff on the back. So up on the body right here, you have this kind of worn away part. And then again, another faded paint area. And then just some checking across the top. But yeah, the thing that impresses me the most about the relic job is the back of the neck, actually. If you check out the back, See this like fading on the edges? That's not the lighting, that's the actual color of the fretboard. And then they have this like fade towards the bottom and towards the top as well. So if you see that, it kind of carries throughout. I'll get back up here for you. So yeah, take a look at that. Beautiful neck, by the way. So I'll show you like the top down view, what I'm seeing whenever I'm playing. So this is, you know, I'm playing on this side. So this looks like that from the top, which is really cool. So you have your tuning peg and you have this like relic aged looking neck that plays like a brand new neck. Even though this is a 2009, this guitar is one of my nicer kept ESPs. And it's kind of ironic, it says the relicing on there, but the frets and the electronics all work great. And I've used this on tour and it sounds great. But yeah, just to get back on the topic of, you know, the debate of relic guitars, I'll give my 2 cents on that. You know, so I obviously have one, so I'm gonna be for them, but I think the main thing is one, you know, you're welcome to your own opinion. And I think that's great. Like, it's completely fine if you don't like relic guitars. I think the only part where it becomes an issue is like, it surprises me the amount of name calling and stuff in the comments section. I guess it is the internet and it's not going to get any better. But some people can just be straight up rude towards other people, not just me, but like towards other people in the comments. And it's wild. But that's where I'm like, okay, like maybe it's not about the guitar. It's about something else in their life. But the way I think about it is like this. Let's say you're a photographer and you take a picture of a old Camaro or Mustang, whatever, and you have this perfect picture of this Camaro or Mustang, and let's say you hang that on your wall. Great, you have this perfect, let's say a non-relic'd guitar, a perfect guitar. And let's say that photographer smeared a little bit of grease on the photo, maybe like wrinkled it a little bit, you know, pushed it in a toolbox and took it out to make the photo look aged and old, like, you know, it's a classic car and that matches the classic vibe of that car. Or it doesn't even have to be a classic car, but you wanted that aged look for the photo, just for art's sake. That's the way I look at relic guitars, is it's not to be like, oh, look, this thing is so worn from me playing. It's more like, oh, that's an interesting, different look that isn't so clean cut. I don't know. That's just kind of my take on it. It's almost like if you don't like relic guitars and things being altered, then, you know, you could also hold the same argument for, you know, people who have a profile picture as like an animated or like an AI image, like, oh, you altered the original image, that's wrong. Where I don't think that's wrong. I think it's just somebody for fun wanting to see how that looks. Same thing on the guitar. Like, if you have a guitar and it came from the factory with some relic on it, whoever buys it, as long as they like it, that's all that matters. And if other people don't like it, that's fine. But then, yeah, like people calling each other names and stuff in the comments section for it, that's where I'm like, whoa, dude, I can't believe people act that way. But anyways, if you're not one of those people, thank you. And if you absolutely hate relic guitars and it's not your thing, that's completely fine. Just be respectful. That's all I'm saying. The same way that, like, you know, I would probably not play a V-shaped guitar unless it's like a classic Gibson V. But even though I love ESPs, like, I don't really play very sharp, pointy guitars, at least right now. You know, if I got hired for a metal project, I would. But is it my first choice? Nope. But am I going to talk down to someone who loves those shapes? Absolutely not. So anyways, there's my little ramble on that. Let me know if you liked relic guitars or not. If you don't, it's okay. If you do, sweet. And I do understand how people really don't like the super worn ones that looks like unrealistic. Like, you know, you drove with that thing behind your car for an hour and a half. I get that. Again, just a preference thing. You know, if someone else loves it, sweet. You know, I was filling up my car at the gas station the other day and I saw a barn that was so withered down. It reminded me of the Fender custom shops that's on like the Music Zoo site. You know, so maybe someone's buying that finish because it reminds them of their old garage and, you know, where they grew up or something, rather than like, look at me, I've been on the road this long. You know, it could be something completely other than that. Then again, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. So anyways, enough on that. Sorry if I got anybody upset there, but also not sorry. You know, y'all can handle it. So a couple more things on this guitar. So here's the neck joint on it. You got a little bit trimmed away for a little bit better access. Kind of like on my XJ6, but like I said in that video, I'm not much of a lead player. I'm more of a rhythm guy, so I'm not up here all that often. But Yeah, let me know if you've ever heard of these ESP Vintage Plus series. They're amazing guitars. And the other thing I will say is some other brands charge a lot of money for a relic job like this. And I paid probably like a fifth of the price of what this would cost with some other brands for this same quality. This is a made in Japan ESP, so that's not lacking quality anywhere. I didn't have to have any work done on this guitar. It's literally flown. It's been banged around in one of those Gator vault cases. That's what I use on tour, which by the way, I can't recommend those cases enough either. Those Gator mini vaults are so handy. And I went ahead and dropped little air tags in there too so that I can see where it's at the airport. If you have connecting flights, it's so handy just to hop on your phone and look at the air tag and be like, okay, it actually made it to where it needs to go. And also if you don't want to get it stolen, you know, if someone took off with your mini vault, if you have an air tag, you know, thrown down in there where they're never going to look for it, that's just another little touring tip right there. You cannot have enough air tags on your stuff. But a couple more things. This has the Wilkinson bridge on there. So yeah, Wilkinson bridge or tremolo, whatever you want to call it. I don't really use that too often. It's more of a thing that I would use at home for recording or at the studio. But yeah, so I just have the tremolo arm in the case, but I very seldom use it. These are made by DiMarzio and they just screw directly into the guitar. So it's not going anywhere. And on the strap, it obviously has the other clip. But on my strap, I have the wireless pack just like duct taped around it. So anytime I'm switching guitars, I just undo these clip straps, or I have multiple on the guitars and then just switch it on. I believe these came with Seymour Duncan pickups in there. I'll see if I can find a spec sheet to let you know what kind. You know, the bridge isn't too ice picky, honestly. I know a lot of Strats can have a very ice picky intense frequency in the bridge. This one is actually usable, which is nice. I tend to be in the middle position a lot, or the neck, and then every now and then for very chimey stuff I'll be on the bridge. So I will say the pickups can be a little bit noisy, like you'd expect from a single coil. And when you put it in those middle, you know, like 3/4 position, like right there or right before the neck, it cancels it out like you typically expect. But yeah, I love these pickups. I will say, if you're expecting this to feel like a normal Strat, it doesn't, in my opinion. It feels like, I don't know the best way to describe this. It feels more controlled. This guitar holds its tune very well, but doesn't have the same amount of like spank or twang. It could also be that I have a little bit thicker gauge on here just to keep it in tune for the rhythm stuff. I usually don't play with lighter strings like 9s. I usually do 10s or 11s, so that also could be a factor. You know, if I put 9s on here, it might be a different story, but that's not a knock on the guitar. I like that it feels different than a Strat to me. Also real quick, yeah, this one has the bone nut as well. Just was looking at it and remembered to mention that, but it just feels a little bit more predictable, I guess you could say. Like on the computer and recording, it kind of sounds like a Strat, but not completely. But this guitar is an amazing guitar. It holds its tune incredibly well. I can go 45 minutes to an hour playing on this without having to tune it. And that's a pretty common theme with my guitars and what you'll hear me saying in these videos. That's something I really look for. You know, my Les Paul Classic, my ESP Eclipse, these guitars that I gig with, they're the ones that stay in tune. You know, I have a lot of playtime with them, or if I'm purchasing a new guitar, you know, I'll carve out time, hopefully if you can play it in person, to spend 45 minutes to an hour with it. And again, I'm more of a rhythm guy, you know, doing chords and hanging in there on the rhythm section. So I'm not really bending the strings like crazy. So then again, they're probably going to stay in tune easier. But yeah, this guitar does exactly what I needed to do. But also in other news, there's a chance I'm going to be playing this guitar at South by Southwest. Maya actually texted me today, the artist I went out on tour with last September. And she said that she's performing and would love to have me playing there. So if everything goes according to schedule, I should be there at South by Southwest this year in Austin, Texas. It's next month, sometime in March. I need to get the exact dates, but if you're in Texas and you're going to be at that festival, you know, comment down below, and I'm always down to talk guitars and gear and stuff like that. So yeah, this guitar is getting ready to be used for a couple more shows coming up. That pretty much wraps it up for this one. Very cool Strat shape offered by ESP. A lot less common than some other models. Made in Japan, the Vintage Plus with the light relic. I guess you could say mid relic. Maybe it's right in between light and mid relic, because there's a good amount of dings on there, but it's not crazy. It's not like unbelievably relic. Let me know if you've heard of these before. Also, Again, happy to hear your opinions on the relics. Just be respectful. And if you're not respectful, shoot, I'm glad you're helping the algorithm. Just hopefully not at anybody else's expense. It's okay if it's at mine, but leave other people alone. I'm gonna go ahead and play a couple clips with this guitar, let you hear how it sounds, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one.